That is sanctions against Russia in the spotlight. The House is expected to approve a bill that would hit Russia, Iran, and North Korea with stiff new economic penalties. The legislation also includes a provision requiring the president to seek congressional approval before easing sanctions on Russia. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders hinted last night that the president has not yet decided whether he will sign that bill. Joining me right now is Fox News military analyst General Jack Keane. General, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, Maria.
Your thoughts on this bill this morning?
Well, it's the right thing to do, and I think it clearly demonstrates the consensus that's in the Congress, particularly about sanctions on Russia. Obviously, in this bill is also North Korea and Iran. But this most recent legislation is really motivated by Russia's meddling in our elections and the fact that our intelligence agencies report unequivocally that that is a fact. And clearly, the sense of the Congress is that Russia has to be held accountable for this. The president, with some justification, I may add, has some concerns that the Congress wants to hold the strings here, and the president in of himself cannot remove the sanctions when he thinks it's fitting. That's a little bit unusual, and I understand his concern. But I think the reality is that the sense of the Congress is so strong that the president will not veto this bill.
Yeah, I mean, it would basically create a lot of controversy if he were not to sign this, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Politically, I think there's some liability there for him. You know, that's not my lane, but certainly they would come back at him and blame it all on Russia.
Yeah.
And that's clearly, I don't think, the major issue here. This really has to deal with presidential authority and prerogatives over foreign policy. But clearly, I think that the people around the president will likely tell him, look, that Congress feels so strongly about this. They are representing the people of the United States. Everybody believes the Russians meddle in our elections, and they must be held accountable.
Yeah, for sure. So White House senior advisor Jared Kushner is back on Capitol Hill today, General. He's obviously facing further questioning now before the House Intelligence Committee. Senate investigators were grilling him yesterday, the president's son-in-law, over his contacts with 4 Russian officials in the alleged Russia meddling case. He spoke out after the testimony. I want to get your reaction. Listen to what he said.
Let me be very clear. I did not collude with Russia, nor do I know of anyone else in the campaign who did so. I had no improper contacts. I have not relied on Russian funds for my businesses. And I have been fully transparent in providing all requested information.
Is there anything there, General? What do you think comes out of this?
Well, first of all, credit the president for permitting a senior advisor of his to go before the Congress and provide testimony, something his predecessor, Barack Obama, would never do. When the Congress requested Ben Rose and others to come talk to them about the nuclear deal and some of the issues that were surrounding it. But secondly, it just begs the question, why didn't he do this before? I mean, this is 4 months after all of these charges, and you can see that they lack credibility here. Remember, the issue is that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia to impact on the election. So he had 2 meetings during that time period. One was a grip and grin with the ambassador just prior to President Trump making a speech, and there were 4 ambassadors present there, pleasantries exchanged, nothing more. Another one was a meeting with a Russian lawyer, and he arranged to get out of the meeting because there was no substance at it, and they were talking about a ban on adoption in Russia.
Right.
Those are the only 2 meetings that would have any impact on the election. There's nothing here.
Right.
And it should have been released, I think, Maria, a long time ago.
Look, this is getting downright goofy, General. I mean, with these meetings about Russia. Meanwhile, we've got real evidence of other interactions on the Democratic side. Look, President Trump is also, though, slamming his Attorney General this morning, General. I mean, he's talking about Sessions' stance on Hillary Clinton. Earlier this hour, the president tweeted this. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has taken a very weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes. Where are the emails and DNC servers and intel leaks? Eric Trump's wife, Lara, also hit Clinton yesterday while pointing to the transparency from both Kushner and Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. in the Russia investigation. Here's what she said, the wife of Eric Trump. Listen to this, General.
transparency is very important to us, and so I really commend both of them for the fact that nobody used BleachBit, nobody deleted emails, nobody destroyed, cell phones with hammers. We're being very upfront with this because we want the world to know there was no collusion.
And that's fine, and we know that, but should the president be litigating this on Twitter like this? I mean, if he has issues with his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, it's odd to me that he's talking about it like this publicly. What do you think?
Well, yes, it certainly is odd, as are a lot of the president's tweets. Let's face it, we've been talking about them for some time now. But, yeah, I mean, Sessions is, by all accounts, I know him personally, is really a man of integrity, and he's dedicated to this country. He's a selfless public servant, and everybody has provided testimony that for years. I hate to see him beat up in public like this. I mean, I don't know what the motivation is, but you can't help but speculate the president is sort of ushering him into some kind of resignation. That seems the most likely thing here.
Yeah, so basically he's waiting for Jeff Sessions to say, look, obviously you want me to resign. I mean, it looks like that's where this is going, right? Otherwise, why would he tweet so publicly that Sessions has a weak position on Hillary Clinton crimes?
I don't know, and
yeah.
It's certainly something from the past, and something I thought the administration was moving on from, given all the issues that we have to deal with, as opposed to chasing something as much as it may be justified and people are frustrated about it. I think the country's put it behind them, and we got to go forward.
Yeah. All right. Let me end where we began, and that is Russia and these sanctions today, General. What do you think the pushback from Russia will be? That was one thing that the Russians did not want: increased sanctions. They didn't want to have to deal with any more. So, what do you think Russia does in response if the president does in fact sign that bill today?
Well, certainly the Russians are working with us in Syria. It may impact the degree that cooperation exists, and I think that's probably the most likely place. Listen, I've got concerns about our cooperation with them on Syria, because that deal is not very good. The Iranian positions in that de-escalation zone have not been removed. The Assad's positions have not been removed. There's artillery fire going in there against the opposition forces. So I'm not comfortable with what's taking place there either. And I'm sure the Trump team, looking at this through their own intelligence lens, are not all that comfortable with it either. We'll see what plays out here, but I think that's the likely place for the Russians to push back.
Yeah, but if it's going to tie the president's hands in terms of having to go to Congress the next time any change happens, that would be the one reluctance of him signing it, right?
Yes, if he's going to say no to this legislation, it'll have nothing to do with North Korea, nothing to do with Iran. It won't have anything to do with the sanctions itself. It will have only to do with the fact that you're taking away my authority to execute foreign policy.
All right, General. Great conversation as always. We appreciate your insights.
Good talking to you, Maria.
We'll see you soon. General Jack Keane joining us there.